How much do we actually know about history? Or maybe more properly, how much do we know about the human past? While we've learned about history in all its epic glory, what you might not have known is that some of the greatest discoveries ever made did not answer anything at all. They only made historians more confused. And in this video, we're going to show you some of the most mysterious and unbelievable ancient finds that raised more questions than answers. So, let's begin with number 15. Merv. Long before modern cities rose across Central Asia, Merv stood as one of the greatest urban centers on Earth. Hidden today within the deserts of Turkmenistan, the ancient city once controlled major trade routes stretching between Persia, China, and the Mediterranean world. Empires fought over it for centuries because whoever ruled Merv controlled wealth, movement, and survival across the region. Historians believe the city existed for more than 4,000 years. Persians, Greeks, Arabs, and Turks all passed through its gates at different points in history. Some legends even claim Alexander the Great himself rebuilt parts of the settlement, though historians remain cautious about those stories. By the 13th century, Merv had grown into one of the largest cities on the planet, crowded with libraries, markets, palaces, and mosques. Then came the Mongols. In 1221, the army of Tolui, son of Genghis Khan, stormed the city and massacred nearly its entire population. The silence that followed never truly lifted. Beneath the desert sands, the remains of Merv still stretch outward like the skeleton of a civilization erased overnight. Number 14. The mummified parrot of the Atacama Desert. We mean, nothing about this discovery made sense at first. A brightly feathered parrot was found preserved deep inside Chile's Atacama Desert, one of the driest places on Earth. The problem is simple: parrots do not belong there. Well, they never did. The bird had likely traveled hundreds of miles across brutal mountain terrain from the Amazon region long before European contact with South America. Keeping such a fragile creature alive during that journey would have required food, water, protection, and organized trade routes. Historians now believe llama caravans may have carried exotic animals through the Andes during the 12th century. To ancient South American civilizations, colorful birds carried spiritual meaning and social status. Powerful individuals were often buried alongside rare animals as symbols of prestige. This parrot may have shared that fate. In fact, more preserved parrots have since been discovered across the region, strengthening the theory of a massive trade network operating centuries ago. But one question remains unanswered. Who organized these dangerous journeys through some of the harshest landscapes on Earth, and what else might they have transported in secret? Number 13. The Valley of Balls in Kazakhstan. Across the remote plains of western Kazakhstan, there's one of the strangest landscapes on Earth you'll ever see. The area is known as Torish, though most people simply call it the Valley of Balls. Thousands of giant stone spheres cover the ground in every direction. Some are tiny like marbles, but others are larger than cars, scattered across the desert as though dropped there deliberately by something enormous. Scientists have struggled to fully explain how so many spheres formed in one place. The most common theory describes them as giant concretions created over millions of years beneath ancient seabeds. Another explanation suggests volcanic activity may have produced spherical mineral formations later uncovered by erosion. Neither answer completely satisfies everyone who visits the valley. The atmosphere of the place feels deeply unnatural and otherworldly. The stones sit isolated across empty land with no clear pattern, yet somehow still appear organized. It's not a random geological accident at all, but it's missing pieces of a mystery humanity arrived too late to understand properly. Number 12. Tutankhamun's forgotten chariot equipment. The Cairo Museum contains so many ancient artifacts that even its own staff occasionally loses track of what sits hidden inside storage rooms. That fact became embarrassingly clear in 2011 when a forgotten collection connected to Pharaoh Tutankhamun suddenly resurfaced during an inventory check. The discovery included a complete set of leather chariot trappings dating back around 3,400 years. In archaeological terms, the survival of leather across such an enormous span of time is almost miraculous. Organic material normally rots away long before reaching the modern age. Even more astonishing was the condition of the objects. Rich red, white, and green decorations still covered parts of the leather. Stitching remained visible. The collection included gauntlets, harnesses, quivers, bow cases, and decorative coverings for the chariot itself. Researchers later traced the objects back to a Greek antiquities dealer who apparently acquired them in 1932 before they vanished into museum storage for decades. But one uncomfortable mystery refuses to disappear. Nobody knows exactly where the artifacts originally came from. Number 11. The oldest kangaroo painting. Australia and kangaroos have been connected for thousands of years. The relationship feels ancient, almost inseparable. But in 2021, archaeologists found evidence showing just how far that connection truly goes. Hidden inside a remote rock shelter in the Kimberley region, experts found a huge painting of a kangaroo stretching nearly 6 feet across the stone wall. The artwork was dated to around 17,500 years old, making it the oldest known rock painting ever found in Australia. The dating process itself feels almost unbelievable. Scientists examined ancient mud wasp nests attached both above and below the artwork, allowing them to estimate the painting's age with surprising accuracy. What truly caught the attention of researchers, though, was the style of the mural. The painting resembles ancient cave art discovered across islands in Southeast Asia, some of which date back nearly 40,000 years. That similarity hints at something enormous. A forgotten cultural connection may once have stretched across oceans long before recorded history began. If true, it could reshape what we know about humanity's earliest migrations. Number 10. Porta Alchemica. Inside a quiet park in Rome stands a strange doorway covered in symbols that still remain unexplained. Porta Alchemica, often called the Alchemist's Gate, is the only surviving piece of a 17th-century villa once tied to secret circles fascinated by magic, transformation, and forbidden knowledge. Unlike the massive monuments spread across Rome, this structure carries a different feeling, almost as though something important was intentionally sealed within it for only a few people to understand. Strange markings, Latin inscriptions, and mysterious symbols stretch across the stone. Many appear connected to alchemy and the legendary philosopher's stone, the mythical substance believed to transform metal into gold while offering eternal life. Historians often link the gate to Massimiliano Palombara, a Roman noble obsessed with occult studies and the hidden sciences that fascinated Europe during that era. One symbol above the doorway, however, still refuses to surrender its meaning. That unanswered detail continues feeding the mystery surrounding the structure. According to old legends, an alchemist once entered the villa, found the secret of transformation, and vanished without any explanation. Number 9. The Stone Spheres of Champ Island. Far beyond the Arctic Circle, hidden among the frozen islands of northern Russia, enormous stone spheres emerge from ice and snow like relics from another world. Champ Island, which is basically part of the Franz Josef Land archipelago, contains hundreds of these strange formations scattered across beaches and glacier edges. Some are small enough to hold, others tower several feet wide beneath the freezing sky. The harsh Arctic environment gives the spheres an eerie appearance. Many are cracked open by ice expansion and violent temperature changes, while others sit half-buried beneath snowdrifts as though they are slowly growing from the Earth itself. During warmer months, melting ice reveals more of them along the landscape, adding to the unsettling atmosphere surrounding the island. Scientists once again point toward natural concretions as the explanation. According to geologists, minerals gathered around sediment over millions of years before erosion exposed the finished shapes. But the sheer number of spheres scattered across such an isolated location feels strangely unnatural. Number 8. The Peking Man fossils. In 1941, wooden crates carrying some of the most important human fossils ever discovered were prepared for transport out of Beijing. Inside them were the original Peking Man fossils recovered from the limestone caves of Zhoukoudian, around 50 kilometers southwest of the city. The collection included skull caps, jaw fragments, isolated teeth, and cranial bones representing nearly 40 individuals. These fossils were classified as Homo erectus and became one of the most important discoveries connected to early human evolution in Asia. Then the crates disappeared. Nobody knows exactly what happened after they left Beijing. Some theories suggest they were intercepted during the Japanese advance into China. Others believe they were lost during transport or hidden somewhere during the chaos of war. What survived were photographs, plaster casts, measurements, and scientific drawings created before the disappearance. The original fossils were never recovered. Even today, researchers still rely on those old records because the actual bones vanished before scientific testing ever became possible. Number 7. Agartha and Hollow Earth myths. Legends describing hidden worlds beneath the earth appear across cultures separated by enormous distances and completely different histories. In the early 20th century, explorer Ferdinand Ossendowski wrote about stories he heard in Mongolia concerning a subterranean kingdom called Agartha. According to the accounts, the hidden realm stretched beneath deserts and mountains, connected through secret tunnels known only to a small number of people. Ancient rulers supposedly governed this underground world while influencing events on the surface from the shadows. Similar traditions appear in Tibetan stories surrounding Shambhala, another hidden kingdom associated with wisdom, secrecy, and inaccessible passageways concealed deep within remote landscapes. Over time, these stories became connected to Hollow Earth theories, claiming vast spaces might exist beneath the planet itself. Mainstream science rejects those ideas entirely, yet the similarities between distant cultures continue to raise questions. Again and again, the same images return. Hidden entrances, underground realms, ancient knowledge concealed below the surface where ordinary people were never meant to go. Number 6. The Berlin Mammoth and Megafauna Collection. Before the Second World War, Berlin's Museum for Naturkunde held one of the largest Ice Age fossil collections in Europe. The galleries contained mammoths, woolly rhinoceroses, cave bears, cave lions, and countless other Pleistocene animals collected through decades of excavation and scientific exchange. Many of the mounted skeletons were enormous, too large to move quickly once bombing raids began targeting the city. In February 1945, heavy air raids struck Berlin and severely damaged parts of the museum. Entire sections collapsed beneath fire, debris, water, and falling masonry. Some fossils were crushed instantly. Others disappeared beneath rubble and remained buried for years after the war ended. Museum staff had already attempted to evacuate important specimens beginning in 1943. But much of the larger material remained trapped inside the building. What survived depended heavily on pre-war photographs, catalog records, inventory cards, and measurements. In many cases, those documents became the only remaining proof that certain specimens had ever existed at all. It was a tragic loss. Number 5. The Shropshire Piano Gold Coins. An old piano sitting inside a school in Shropshire hardly looked like the beginning of an ancient mystery. Students played it for years without noticing anything unusual. Then, during routine tuning in 2017, workers opened the instrument and discovered hundreds of gold coins hidden deep inside the frame. Nearly 1,000 coins had been carefully packed into cloth bags and pushed into hidden compartments within the piano. Dates stamped across the collection ranged from the mid-1800s to the early 20th century. At the time they were hidden, the fortune would have been worth enough to purchase a large house. Whoever placed them there clearly intended for the money to remain secret. The strangest part is that nobody knows who hid them. The family that donated the piano claimed they never knew the coins existed, despite owning the instrument for decades. Historians traced the piano through several owners, but still failed to identify the original person behind the stash. What's your take on this? Let us know. Number 4. Chavin de Huantar tunnels. Far beneath the stone temples of Chavin de Huantar, ancient builders created underground chambers unlike anything else found in the Andes. These tunnels were not built for defense or shelter. Their purpose appears far stranger. Narrow corridors twisted through darkness, while hidden water channels carried rushing currents beneath the floors, filling the passages with a constant roar. Sounds echoed violently through the galleries, distorting direction and distance until visitors could no longer trust what they were hearing. Archaeologists later tested replica conch-shell trumpets inside the tunnels and discovered the blasts transformed into deep animal-like sounds that shook the stone itself. Hidden at the center of the labyrinth stood the Lanzan, a towering granite figure carved with the image of a fanged deity. Reaching it meant moving through darkness, noise, isolation, and confusion before suddenly confronting the massive stone figure deep underground. Everything about the architecture suggests the tunnels were engineered to overwhelm the senses and force visitors into an altered psychological state. Number 3. Queen Emma's bones at Winchester Cathedral. Winchester Cathedral has stood in England for nearly 1,000 years, holding kings, bishops, and relics from the medieval world, but hidden inside the cathedral was a forgotten tragedy nobody noticed for centuries. In 2019, researchers finally identified bones believed to belong to Queen Emma, one of the most powerful women in 11th century Europe. Emma lived between 985 and 1052 and was married to both King Thelred and King Nut. She gave birth to Edward the Confessor and stood at the center of England's political chaos during the Viking Age. After her death, she was buried with royal honors. But everything changed during the Norman Conquest and later the English Civil War. Cathedral tombs were broken apart, bones were scattered, and remains from multiple royals were mixed together inside damaged mortuary chests. For centuries, nobody knew who belonged where. Scientists from the University of Bristol spent years studying the remains through DNA, isotope analysis, and historical records before finally tracing some bones back to Emma herself. But still, the whole story is missing. Number 2. Native American legends of underground peoples. Stories about underground worlds appear throughout many Native American traditions and often sit at the center of their cultural memory. Hopi teachings describe humanity emerging from a world beneath the earth after earlier ages were destroyed by catastrophe. According to their oral history, ancestors survived below the surface until spiritual beings guided them upward through a sacred opening into the present world. That memory still survives today inside ceremonial chambers, where a small symbolic hole called the Sipapu represents the passage from the underground realm into the world above. Similar accounts appear among other indigenous cultures across North America. Navajo traditions describe previous worlds ending in destruction before humanity entered a new age. Cherokee stories speak of hidden beings living beneath the earth, while Mandan traditions describe ancestors climbing upward from underground through an opening in the ground. Long before archaeologists uncovered real subterranean cities like Derinkuyu, these stories already preserved the same unsettling idea. Number 1. The ancient pyramid of Keros. Rising from the Greek island of Keros sits what once looked like a shining white monument emerging directly from the sea. Thousands of years ago, ancient builders reshaped a naturally pyramid-shaped hill using marble and stone terraces until it became something far more imposing than the landscape around it. But the deeper archaeologists explored the site, the stranger the story became. Beneath the pyramid, researchers uncovered sophisticated drainage tunnels, underground channels, and signs of advanced engineering that seemed centuries ahead of their time. The systems predate the famous Minoan palaces of Crete by more than 1,000 years. Even more surprising was the amount of imported marble used in construction. Nearly all of it had to be transported across the sea from neighboring islands, requiring an enormous coordinated effort in an age without advanced ships or machinery. The island also produced unusual marble figurines later admired by artists like Pablo Picasso. Yet despite the finds, the true purpose of the site remains uncertain. If you've enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe. Thanks for staying with us, and we'll see you in the next one.